When the cameras rolled on Hogan's Heroes,
I want to know nothing, nothing.
audiences had no idea they were watching one of television's most controversial and shocking productions. Behind the laughs and lighthearted prison camp antics lay incredible secrets, tragic real-life stories.
I did not know that once we're in a car, we're gonna go to Germany and killed in the gas chambers.
And production decisions that would astound even the most dedicated fans. These are 20 shocking facts about Hogan's Heroes you didn't know. Robert Clary was a real Holocaust survivor. The most incredible secret behind Hogan's Heroes centers on Robert Clary, the actor who brought Corporal Louis LeBeau to life with such warmth and humor. While viewers laughed at his antics as the French prisoner, they had no idea that Clary himself had endured unimaginable suffering in actual Nazi death camps. Born Robert Max Widerman in Paris as the youngest of 14 children, Clary was only 16 when French authorities arrested him and his family in September 1942. He endured over 2.5 years of imprisonment across multiple concentration camps, including the notorious Buchenwald facility, where he was forced to manufacture wooden shoe heels in a factory. Guards branded the number A57YC4 into his left forearm as his permanent identification. Liberation came in April 1945 when Allied troops freed the camps, but joy quickly turned to anguish when Clary discovered that 12 of his immediate family members had perished in the gas chambers at Auschwitz. Only he and 3 siblings who had avoided capture survived the war. The Stalag 13 set was destroyed. The beloved Stalag 13 set met its end in the most unexpected and disturbing way possible. After the show wrapped in 1971, the elaborate prisoner camp stood empty on the RKO 40 acres backlot in Culver City for several years. Studio executives faced a decision about what to do with the aging structures when an opportunity arose that would solve their demolition problem permanently. The makers of a controversial exploitation film needed a realistic camp setting for their dark project about a sadistic Nazi commandant who conducted brutal experiments on prisoners. Rather than hire traditional demolition crews, the studio made a deal allowing the filmmakers to use their famous comedy set with one condition: they would destroy it completely during filming. When production began on the exploitation picture, the filmmakers rigged the entire compound with explosives for their finale sequence. The barracks where audiences had watched 6 seasons of clever escapes and comic mishaps were blown apart and burned to ashes, creating a permanent end to one of television's most recognizable locations. 4 German officers were actually Jewish. The most stunning contradiction in Hogan's Heroes was that the incompetent German officers were portrayed by Jewish actors who had actually escaped Hitler's persecution. Werner Klemperer, the man who made audiences laugh as the inept Colonel Klink, came from a Jewish family in Cologne and fled his homeland in 1933 as the Nazi movement seized control. While real war raged across Europe, Klemperer wore an American uniform, serving his adopted country by performing for troops overseas. John Banner, who endeared millions as the simple-minded Sergeant Schultz, was an Austrian refugee whose escape came too late to save his family members, who perished in Nazi death camps. Leon Askin, the stern General Burkhalter, was actually Leo Ashkenazi from Vienna, a man who bore physical scars from SS violence that remained visible throughout his television appearances. His parents were murdered at Treblinka extermination camp. Howard Kane, who played the threatening Major Hochstetter, was born in America but served in the military during the conflict. Bob Crane's gruesome murder. The beloved Colonel Hogan met his end in one of the entertainment industry's most shocking and enduring mysteries. On a sweltering June morning in 1978, Bob Crane was found bludgeoned to death in his Arizona apartment while touring with a theater production called Beginner's Luck. The actor had been viciously attacked with what authorities believed was a camera tripod while he lay sleeping in bed. The apartment was a scene of carnage, with the victim's blood coating the walls from floor to ceiling. An electrical wire from video equipment had been tied around Crane's neck, and police discovered his extensive library of homemade adult films during their investigation. The prime suspect emerged as John Henry Carpenter, a video equipment specialist who had spent years helping Crane record intimate encounters with various women they met together. Carpenter had flown to Phoenix specifically to visit Crane and dined with him on the final evening of his life. Although investigators found what appeared to be the victim's blood in Carpenter's rental car, forensic science of that era couldn't establish conclusive proof. The jury acquitted Carpenter in 1994, and this Hollywood murder mystery remains officially open today. Larry Hovis refused to remove his wedding ring. During the complete run of Hogan's Heroes, Larry Hovis established one unbreakable personal boundary that frustrated directors and continuity supervisors for years. The performer who brought Sergeant Carter to life steadfastly refused to remove his wedding band under any circumstances, even though his character was supposed to be an unmarried soldier. Hovis had wed Ann Corrin in 1955 and viewed his ring as an untouchable symbol of their union that could never be compromised for television purposes. This created enormous headaches for the production staff since authentic German prisoners would never have been permitted to keep personal jewelry during their imprisonment. The crew developed countless strategies to hide the problematic accessory across all 168 episodes of the series. Carter became famous for wearing protective gloves during the most unlikely situations, including indoor conversations and warm weather scenes where such gear appeared completely ridiculous. When mittens weren't practical, cinematographers mastered the art of strategic positioning, keeping Hovis's left hand concealed behind props, furniture, or simply out of camera view entirely. Richard Dawson auditioned to play Colonel Hogan. The future game show legend had much bigger aspirations when he first walked into the Hogan's Heroes audition room. Richard Dawson desperately wanted to land the title role of the American Colonel, who would become the series' central character. Unfortunately for his leading man dreams, Dawson's thick British accent made it impossible for him to sound like a convincing United States Army officer. The producers recognized his comedic talent and stage presence, so they counter-offered him the part of Peter Newkirk, a Royal Air Force corporal among the Allied prisoners. Dawson initially performed the role using his natural Liverpool dialect, the same regional speech that was simultaneously making the Beatles' international sensations. American television executives found his pronunciation so difficult to understand that they demanded he change his delivery entirely. Dawson switched to using Cockney inflections that became Newkirk's signature vocal style throughout the show's run. Years later, when British pop culture dominated American entertainment, Dawson jokingly told network brass that he had tried to warn them about the appeal of Liverpool accents. The failed audition ultimately worked perfectly, as his portrayal of the con artist prisoner became far more interesting than the straight man hero role he originally sought, originally set in American prison. The concept that became Hogan's Heroes started life as something completely unrecognizable from the World War II comedy that audiences came to love. Co-creator Albert S. Ruddy's original pitch centered around clever inmates in a contemporary American minimum security facility who regularly escaped to pull off elaborate cons before sneaking back into their cells. The show would have featured modern-day prisoners outsmarting their bumbling warden while conducting various scams in the outside world. Network executives showed zero interest in this domestic prison comedy concept, leaving Ruddy scrambling for alternatives. When he learned that NBC was developing a competing series called Campo 44, set in an Italian wartime prisoner camp, inspiration struck immediately. Ruddy performed a complete creative overhaul of his concept in just 24 hours, transforming the American penitentiary into a German stalag and converting the scheming convicts into Allied soldiers conducting espionage operations. The clueless warden became Colonel Klink, and the elaborate cons evolved into sabotage missions against the Nazi war effort. CBS purchased the revised pitch immediately, while the rival Campo 44 project aired only as a single television movie before vanishing into obscurity. Ruddy's desperate last-minute pivot had rescued his show from certain cancellation. The theme song. Television audiences spent 6 years humming the infectious march that introduced each episode, completely unaware that composer Jerry Fielding had crafted full vocal arrangements for the familiar melody. The concealed verses were professionally recorded by 4 cast members for a specialty album dedicated to popular songs from the 1940s wartime era. Robert Clary, Richard Dawson, Ivan Dixon, and Larry Hovis lent their voices to lyrics that celebrated prisoner resilience with phrases such as "Heroes, heroes," "Husky men of war," "Sons of all the heroes of the war before." The complete song included additional verses that never reached mainstream audiences beyond purchasers of the cast recording. Notably absent from the vocal sessions was star Bob Crane, despite his extensive musical background as a professional drummer since his teenage years. Crane regularly kept drumsticks in his personal dressing room, using percussion practice as his preferred method of relaxation during production breaks. The distinctive opening drum flourish that kicked off every show was actually Crane's own performance captured during studio recording sessions. He later showcased his rhythmic talents on a solo album, demonstrating that his artistic abilities encompassed much more than comedic acting. cast filmed in heat. The creative team behind Hogan's Heroes implemented a visual strategy that made life miserable for performers throughout the entire production run. Executives decided to maintain perpetual winter conditions on screen to avoid seasonal inconsistencies between episodes filmed at different times of the year. This design choice required every outdoor sequence to display snow-topped rooftops, icy ground surfaces, and actors bundled in heavy winter clothing, including thick overcoats, woolen mittens, and insulated boots. Unfortunately, principal photography occurred in Los Angeles during the hottest summer months, when ambient temperatures soared well into triple digits. The wardrobe department enforced strict adherence to winter costumes without any seasonal exceptions. Every performer who stepped in front of cameras had to endure full cold weather gear while perspiring heavily beneath the relentless California sunshine. Creating convincing snow effects presented ongoing technical challenges for the crew. Initial seasons used actual rock salt distributed across filming locations to simulate frozen precipitation. But this approach proved both labor-intensive and damaging to sensitive equipment. The art department eventually solved these issues by applying white paint directly to surfaces, creating durable winter illusions that required no ongoing maintenance while withstanding intense heat exposure. The German version. When Hogan's Heroes finally reached German television screens in the 1990s, it underwent such dramatic changes that it became virtually unrecognizable from the original American version. The initial German broadcast attempt in 1992 failed spectacularly because audiences weren't prepared for comedy set inside a Nazi prisoner camp. Rather than abandoning the project entirely, German network executives completely reimagined the series through radical script rewrites and creative voice casting. The dubbed version transformed every Nazi character into an even more ridiculous buffoon by assigning them exaggerated regional dialects that German viewers immediately associated with comedy rather than military authority. Colonel Klink received a high-pitched, neurotic voice that made him sound perpetually flustered, while Sergeant Schultz became impossibly more dim-witted than his original portrayal. The German adaptation stripped away every remaining shred of dignity from the Nazi officers through deliberately absurd dialogue replacements. Military commands and official Nazi terminology were completely eliminated, replaced with nonsensical phrases that made the German characters appear like bumbling cartoon villains. The adaptation even invented new running gags, including frequent references to Klink's unseen housekeeper, Kalinka, a romantic interest who never appeared on screen but became one of the German version's most popular comedic elements. Bob Crane married his co-star. One of television's most unconventional love stories reached its climax inside the fictional walls of Stalag 13, when Bob Crane exchanged wedding vows with his co-star during an actual marriage ceremony performed on the soundstage. On April 16, 1970, Crane married Patricia Olsen, better known as Sigrid Valdis, who portrayed Colonel Klink's efficient secretary Hilda. This wasn't a publicity stunt designed to generate media attention. The couple held their genuine legal wedding ceremony surrounded by the barracks, guard towers, and prop barbed wire that had become their professional home during years of filming together. Richard Dawson proudly served as best man for his close friend and co-star, while the entire cast and production crew attended the unique celebration. Hollywood historians believe this marked the first authentic marriage ceremony ever conducted on a television soundstage. The couple's marriage endured for 8 years until Crane's tragic murder in 1978. Following Valdis's death in 2007, she was laid to rest beside her husband, the elaborate set. Stalag 13 wasn't merely painted facades, it featured a sophisticated network of functional underground tunnels and hidden compartments that actually operated during filming. Set designers constructed genuine secret passages throughout the compound, including a hollowed-out tree stump with a real underground chamber where actors could completely disappear. The prisoner barracks contained working tunnel entrances that connected to an extensive maze beneath the entire set. These weren't simple props. They were fully operational pathways that allowed performers to move unseen from one location to another during escape sequences. The elaborate system included concealed panels in barrack walls, hidden trapdoors beneath bunks, and camouflaged entrance points scattered across the compound. Actors regularly used these practical effects to create convincing disappearing acts that amazed television audiences. The cast became notorious for using the functional tunnel system to play pranks on guest stars, directing unsuspecting visitors to wait in hidden underground chambers, then walking away and leaving them stranded, the show's controversial tagline. The most infamous marketing slogan in television history began as a comedian's sarcastic quip that nobody was supposed to take seriously. During a 1965 newspaper interview, satirist Stan Freberg jokingly suggested to Bob Crane that CBS should promote the show with the outrageous tagline, "If you liked World War II, you'll love Hogan's Heroes." Freberg delivered this line as obvious satire, mocking the absurdity of turning such a dark historical period into lighthearted entertainment. Crane immediately rejected it, telling the interviewer, "No, let's not say that, no." Despite both men treating it as an inappropriate joke, CBS marketing executives somehow decided this controversial phrase perfectly captured their show's irreverent spirit. The network adopted Freberg's sarcastic suggestion as their official promotional slogan. The tagline appeared in advertisements and promotional materials throughout the show's 6-year run. What started as one comedian mocking another's project became the actual marketing strategy for one of CBS's biggest hits, Shared Backlot. The Culver City backlot that housed Stalag 13 was actually a bustling television neighborhood where multiple classic American series filmed simultaneously. Hogan's Heroes shared its production space with The Dick Van Dyke Show, That Girl, and The Andy Griffith Show during overlapping production periods. Young Ron Howard, who played Opie on Andy Griffith, later recalled riding his bicycle between different sets and becoming mesmerized by the various fictional worlds constructed side by side. The proximity of these productions led to unexpected interactions between cast members from completely different shows. Actors would frequently wander onto neighboring sets during breaks, creating informal friendships across series boundaries that lasted for decades. Studio executives appreciated the efficiency of concentrating multiple productions in one location, though it occasionally created scheduling conflicts. Cast members were accomplished musicians. The talented performers behind Hogan's Heroes possessed impressive musical capabilities that surprised fans who knew them only for their comedic television work. Several principal cast members leveraged the show's success to demonstrate their serious vocal and instrumental abilities through professional recording ventures. Robert Clary, Richard Dawson, Larry Hovis, and Yvonne Dixon joined forces to create albums showcasing popular melodies from the 1940s wartime period. Their polished harmonizations on classic songs revealed extensive musical training and natural artistic gifts. Bob Crane's drumming prowess became especially apparent through his individual recording efforts. He had mastered percussion instruments since childhood and continued developing his skills throughout his entertainment career. These musical projects capitalized on a growing American fascination with earlier decades that characterized much of 1960s popular culture. The cast recordings achieved unexpected commercial success among viewers who enjoyed experiencing their beloved television personalities performing treasured songs from previous generations, proving the actors were multifaceted entertainers. Show was canceled due to rural purge. Hogan's Heroes became an unexpected casualty of CBS's infamous rural purge, one of the most ruthless schedule overhauls in television history. In the early 1970s, CBS made a dramatic strategic shift, deciding that popularity alone wasn't enough anymore. The network wanted young urban viewers that advertisers were suddenly willing to pay premium rates to reach. Despite pulling respectable ratings, Hogan's Heroes was deemed expendable because CBS executives believed its audience skewed older and more rural. The show didn't lose its viewers. The network decided those viewers were no longer valuable enough to keep. Hogan's Heroes aired its final episode in April 1971, joining other canceled hits like the Beverly Hillbillies and Green Acres. The rural purge wasn't really about setting, it was about demographics. If your audience was considered unfashionable, your show faced the chopping block regardless of success or cultural impact. Werner Klemperer demanded Nazis always lose. Werner Klemperer, who portrayed the bumbling Colonel Klink, made one non-negotiable demand before accepting his role on Hogan's Heroes. The Jewish actor who had fled Nazi Germany insisted that his character could never be portrayed as competent, successful, or sympathetic in any way. Klink had to always lose. Klemperer's contract specifically stated that the Nazi characters must be depicted as complete failures and buffoons throughout every episode. He refused to participate in any storyline that might make fascism appear effective or admirable, even in a comedic context. This wasn't mere professional preference. It was personal conviction from someone who had lived through the rise of Hitler's regime. Klemperer viewed his role as an opportunity to ridicule the very system that had forced his family to flee their homeland. His insistence on portraying Nazis as incompetent fools became a defining characteristic of the series, ensuring that comedy never accidentally glorified the enemy. Richard Dawson became Family Feud host. Richard Dawson's post-Hogan's Heroes career took an unexpected turn that made him more famous than his prisoner of war character ever did. After the sitcom ended, Dawson became a regular panelist on the game show Match Game, where his quick wit and charm made him contestants' favorite choice for the bonus round. His popularity on Match Game caught the attention of producer Mark Goodson, who was developing a new game show called Family Feud. Goodson specifically created the program as a vehicle for Dawson, recognizing his natural ability to connect with ordinary families and contestants. Family Feud debuted in 1976 and became a massive hit, eventually surpassing Match Game in ratings. Dawson's trademark of kissing female contestants earned him the nickname the Kissing Bandit and made him a household name. His transition from prisoner of war comedy to game show hosting proved that his talents extended far beyond acting, establishing him as one of television's most beloved personalities. Cast played constant pranks on set. The close-knit Hogan's Heroes cast became notorious for their elaborate practical jokes
and dropping Z dead.
that kept production lively throughout 6 seasons of filming. Larry Hovis and Richard Dawson emerged as the primary pranksters, constantly devising schemes to surprise their fellow actors and unsuspecting crew members. The functional tunnel system beneath Stalag 13 became their favorite tool for mischief. Cast members would direct guest stars to wait in hidden underground chambers, then simply walk away and abandon them until someone eventually remembered to retrieve the confused visitors. Bob Crane and Richard Dawson developed such a strong friendship that they regularly collaborated on pranks targeting other cast members. Their practical jokes ranged from simple surprises to elaborate setups that required careful planning and perfect timing. The pranks created a family atmosphere on set that helped sustain morale during the demanding television production schedule. Veterans recall the constant laughter and camaraderie that made filming feel more like an extended family gathering than serious professional work. Show had 12 Emmy nominations despite controversy. Despite its controversial premise of finding humor in a World War II prisoner camp, Hogan's Heroes achieved remarkable critical recognition that shocked entertainment industry observers. The series earned an astounding 12 Emmy nominations throughout its 6-year run, proving that quality comedy could emerge from the most unlikely subject matter. Werner Klemperer's portrayal of Colonel Klink earned him 2 Emmy wins for Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Comedy Series, validating his decision to make Nazi incompetence the character's defining trait. The show also received nominations for writing, directing, and overall comedy excellence. The Emmy recognition legitimized Hogan's Heroes within the television industry and demonstrated that audiences could distinguish between laughing at Nazis versus laughing with them. Which was your best shocking fact? Drop your favorite in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more hilarious celebrity moments.